Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission today, as always, is to give you that ultimate shortcut to being well-informed. We're diving into some really critical components of character development, all pointing toward future success. And we're getting this straight from chapters 11 and 12 of Lugatti's book, The Marketing of You. And I think it's important to say this isn't about, selling a product. It's about the deep internal work you have to do first.
Exactly. When you look at them together, they're like a two-part manual. Chapter 11 is all about self-mastery, finding that foundation of presence and dealing with your past.
Okay.
And then chapter 12 comes in with the non-negotiable part, the effort required to actually build that future. The whole point is to develop the character you need to handle life's, its inevitable chaos.
So that really sets up our central question for this deep dive, doesn't it? How do we find that balance? How do you live fully in the moment? I mean, really experience life without getting dragged down by the past or paralyzed by what's coming next.
Okay, let's unpack this. Gatti kicks off chapter 11 with that classic line from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't slow down, you might miss it.
A great quote.
It is, but he adds this really aggressive qualifier to it. He says, look, if you don't slow down, all your other self-improvement efforts won't matter one goddamn bit.
Right.
Pretty strong language.
It is, but it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Because his definition of presence isn't just smelling the roses on vacation. It means experiencing all of life.
All of it.
Every bit. And that includes dealing with the negative emotions head on. You can't just shove them aside. The idea is to use every single experience, good or bad, as a chance to learn something right then and there. That makes sense. But if you're dealing with all that, how do you not get overwhelmed? Which brings us right to mindfulness. The source material quotes the foundation for a mindful society, describing the goal as to wake up to the inner workings of our mental, emotional, and physical processes.
Which is a bit formal, yeah. Let's break that down. It basically means becoming your own emotional detective. You're learning to just watch your thoughts and feelings, almost like you're watching a TV show instead of being the main character in it.
And this is where it gets a little tricky for people, right? The book suggests methods like meditation, and even admits it might sound a bit hokey.
It does, but I love that the source just says, if it works, it works. This isn't about some spiritual quest. It's just mental training. And the benefits are proven. Less stress, better concentration, a better handle on things like anxiety and anger.
So what's the actual practice?
It's mostly observational, just noticing how fast your brain jumps ahead. You're in the middle of one thing, and your mind is already on the next meeting or worrying about tomorrow.
Right. And for people who just can't sit still, it mentions you can find that state through things like intense exercise or even just losing yourself in music.
Yeah.
The key is finding your own safe place, your own sense of peace.
Exactly. Because you need that internal control when you have to deal with real-world problems. I mean, you should always have a plan, but life doesn't really follow a plan, does it?
No, it doesn't. Reminds me of that John Lennon quote. Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans. Things are just bound to go wrong.
And how you react in that moment,
yeah,
that's the true measure of your character, being able to stay calm and logical while everyone else is, freaking out. The book calls that tantamount to a superpower.
A superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Requires all that grit and presence you've been building up so you can actually control the situation instead of just reacting to it.
Okay, so that's how you handle the present. But what about the past? You can't be present if you're dragging all that history around. Gatti brings in that Santayana quote. Those who do not remember the past are doomed to repeat it.
And this is where it gets really personal. Because learning from the past means you have to finally deal with your demons, all that emotional baggage. If you don't, you just drag that anger and depression into the present moment.
And there's a really sharp warning in there about fixation. It doesn't matter if you're stuck on past failures or even reliving past glories. Either way, it says, that's the fast track to depression.
Precisely. You get the lesson and then you have to move on. That's where that brutal Churchill advice comes in. If you're going through hell, keep going.
Wow. Just keep going. So once we've dealt with the past, how do we handle the future without getting stuck there too?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. Just like being stuck in the past leads to depression, being stuck worrying about the future leads to anxiety.
And we're not talking about the little bit of productive anxiety, the kind that makes you prepare for a test.
No, not at all. We're talking about the destructive kind, the kind that fixates on the coulds of tomorrow. It creates this awful feedback loop. You worry so much about failing that you become paralyzed, which makes you underprepare, which then causes you to fail.
And that failure just becomes a new source of depression about the past.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle. And the only thing that breaks it is having that solid, present character base to begin with.
So to recap chapter 11, it's really about giving us the tools to stop missing our own lives.
Hmm.
Be mindful, use negative stuff as a learning tool, build crisis management skills, learn from the past but don't live there, and avoid that paralyzing anxiety about the future.
It's a whole framework for mental stability, really.
Okay, so that sets a really high bar.
Yeah.
But presence without action is just waiting.
Mm.
So what does Gady tell us to do with this newfound stability in chapter 12?
Chapter 12, earn everything, just comes out swinging. It immediately attacks that old cliche, you know the one. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life.
And Gady's response is just so blunt. He says, I say bullshit, do what you love, and you'll work 3 times as hard.
And that reframing is everything, because earning isn't just about your big career dream. It's about everything. You earn your paycheck, you earn your grades, your health, even your relationships. You have to earn that trust and respect.
I love the simple example he gives. It's something like, you want a big bowl of ice cream? Eat your damn vegetables first.
Exactly. It's that simple. Discipline first, reward second. Which leads him right into this critique of the 3 things society tells us are huge advantages, but he calls overrated: talent, good looks, and intellect.
Why overrated?
Because they give you this illusion that things should be easy. They're great starting points, but without grit, without effort, they are completely useless.
So let's break them down. What's the problem with relying on good looks?
The book puts it perfectly. You spend too much time looking in the mirror. You become narcissistic, all about presentation and no substance. You never develop any depth.
Okay. And what about talent? We see so many gifted people who just flame out.
Because talent without practice guarantees you, 15 minutes of fame and then a lifetime of regret. You get past the easy part fast, but the moment real mastery requires boring, repetitive work, you quit.
And the last one, intellect, is maybe the most surprising. We're taught that being smart is the ultimate leg up.
And it can be, but intellect without grit means you might have a Mensa level IQ, but you don't have the patience to stick with a really hard problem. You understand the theory in 5 minutes, but you give up when the application takes 5 months. The person with average intelligence who just refuses to quit will beat you every single time.
So the warning is clear. Don't rest on your laurels.
Yeah.
You can't expect things to be handed to you forever. The source actually says one day that hammer is going to fall.
Right. And the goal is to be the one swinging that hammer, not the one getting hit by it. You have to be the one creating your own opportunities, not waiting for them.
Oh. Okay, but this is where I have to stop you, because Gady makes this really counterintuitive point. What's the reward for all this hard work? He says the reward for hard work is more hard work. That sounds awful.
I know, it does on the surface, right? But it's a crucial distinction. It's not a punishment. The reward is the dignity that comes from being competent and independent. The reward is the new opportunities that purposeful work creates. That's what people mean by making their own luck. They're just so prepared that they see chances other people miss.
So the growth itself is the reward, a perpetual cycle. But you can't just work all the time. He brings in the idea of work hard, play hard.
Yeah, but we have to qualify that one immediately. He is very specific that play hard does not mean losing control or losing your money. That's not balance. That's just escapism.
So what's the positive definition of play here?
It's competitive games, physical or mental, with friends, with colleagues. It's rooted in human connection. You need that joy because, as the saying goes, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And being dull is the enemy of everything we've been talking about.
Which brings it all full circle, back to character, managing all of it, the work, the planning, the crises, and still finding time for fun. That all depends on the solid character base you've built.
Absolutely. So a quick recap of Chapter 12. Reject that passion should be easy. Grit is what lets you earn everything. Talent, looks, intellect, they're not enough on their own. And finally, you have to balance all that purposeful work with play and connection. Hashtag tag tag outro.
This has been a really powerful deep dive. So Chapter 11 taught us how to stop missing our own lives, how to be present. And Chapter 12 gave us the mandate for how to earn the life we actually choose.
And the link, the essential thing connecting them both, is character. That solid internal base is what gives you the power to overcome anxiety about the future and manage the chaos required to earn a fulfilling life right now.
That's a huge perspective shift.
We learned that mindfulness requires you to observe your own thoughts from a distance, like a detached observer. So here's a final thought for you to take with you. What if you applied that same objective, detached observer role to your past successes, not just your failures? How does looking at what you did right objectively change how you plan for the challenges ahead? That's something to mull over until our next deep dive.